Maybe you believe Christianity might be true, but you're still hesitant to fully commit because it feels like the cost of following Jesus just might be too high for you. I think a lot of people secretly wonder that. You might lose friends, you might be misunderstood by family, people might think you're irrational or superstitious, or worse, you're just not yourself anymore. And maybe deep down you're scared that God will ask you to live a life you don't want, an uncomfortable life, a life of sacrifice, a life of discipline. You're not crazy for having those fears. That is very normal, because at the end of the day, we all face a simple choice. You either commit your life to God or you don't, regardless of whether God actually exists. Now, both options carry a risk, right? If you commit to God and God isn't real, did you waste your life chasing a lie? Right? But if you don't commit and God exists, then you've missed out on the most important relationship you could ever have, right? A relationship with your Creator, and perhaps the eternal life that comes with that. So the question is, which risk is worse, really, when it comes down to it? Some people focus on the fear of being wrong about God's existence. They don't want to waste their life on a lie. But they don't think about the flip side often, which is, what if you live your life like God doesn't exist and then you discover you were wrong? What then? That's a far greater risk, right? So the risk of living a lie versus the risk of missing out on the truth. But what about the cost, someone says? But I'd lose so much if I commit to God and He's not real. Okay, that's fair. In a country like America, where being a Christian doesn't risk your physical life, even then you might think of the social costs, right? Like losing friends, having less free time, being seen as religious in a secular environment. But what do you gain if you follow Jesus and Christianity is true? Well, let's see. Peace with God, guidance for your life, deeper purpose, eternal life. You see, even if the cost is high, if the reward is infinite, doesn't that make it worth it? Imagine your best friend is dying of cancer. This is just a thought experiment. The doctors say they've only got days left to live, but then you find out that if just you, commit to living a devout Christian life, their chances of survival jump to 50%. Would you do it? Even if you risked losing friends, losing social status, maybe some personal freedoms, would you take that 50% shot to save your best friend's life? If you're like, well, of course I would. You see, then you're already admitting that those costs are worth it for the sake of something very valuable. Now think about this. If Christianity is true, committing to God doesn't just offer a longer life for one friend. Okay, first of all, it offers eternal life, and not just for you, but potentially for others that you're going to influence. Think about that. If you'd commit for your one friend's life, why wouldn't you commit for something even more valuable? Now, I know that some people live in places where following Jesus could actually get you killed, and that's a real fear, and the question is tougher there. I feel like a fraud for saying that, since I live in the relative comfort of the Bible Belt here in America. But even in the scenario of living in a country that is hostile to Christianity, the risk of not committing to God still remains higher if Christianity is true. Your earthly life, your soul. Which risk is bigger? Okay. It's still rational, even in dangerous places, to commit to God if you believe that Christianity is at least 50% likely to be true. I don't know if you've noticed, but we humans are actually pretty bad at predicting what will make us happy, right? Psychologists talk about this phenomenon. Basically, it's how we overestimate how bad things are going to feel for us, and how long those bad feelings will last. And so when we think of God as someone who's going to ruin our fun or make us feel restricted. But just talk to a few people who live devout Christian lives. Okay, many of those people are going to say the exact opposite, right? They're going to tell you how they experience deeper joy and stronger relationships and a greater sense of purpose because of their faith, right? Why couldn't that be true for you? Instead of just trusting your gut, which says this is going to ruin my life, maybe look at the people who've made this commitment. Not saying they have it all together, I sure don't. But many of them are just happier, healthier, more grounded people. So here's the bottom line. If the cost of committing to God is high, but the possible gain is infinitely higher, why wouldn't you take that risk? Especially if you believe Christianity has at least a 50% chance of being true. Would you risk losing some things in this life if it meant gaining everything in the next? Because that's the real choice, isn't it? At the end of the day, the bigger cost might not be following God. It might just be not following Him. So what do you think? Is it worth it? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If this video got you thinking, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this. Thanks for watching.